Here are some new things I have learned while living in Vegas that I found surprising, shocking, or unexpected. I've been living in Las Vegas for almost a year now, and I want to give you some tips. This is my home base, and there's just some surprises. Now, I have done this video a couple times already and posted it, but I found some new things, and I thought it'd be pretty cool to tell you. This one's kind of more themed on Vegas local women as well as the heat. So it's kind of more themed around those types of things. So let's just get right into it. Number one, something that's unique to Las Vegas is the nightclub life. And one thing you'll find with local women, local young women, that is, older women, it's different, but local young women, especially if they're, any modicum of attractiveness, average or above average, is that they get a lot of access to nightclubs. So that's not something you really find in a lot of other cities. I would say even like maybe Los Angeles or New York City, you won't see as much of this because New York, there's so many other industries going on, so that, they may not even be part of it or invited because they're in the finance sector or they're in like some other sector in New York. And Los Angeles, while there is kind of more of that entertainment base, from what I've heard from a few people who live in Los Angeles, is that there isn't much of a nightclub scene compared to Vegas. Like Vegas's nightclub just blows LA out of the water because you can go out any night of the week in Las Vegas and there will be a club that's popping. Whereas in LA, it's like you won't see a headliner on a weekday night. So with that being said, the surprise I found is that a lot of these girls have, they've indulged in the nightlife scene, or it's just really familiar with them. And so things like offering a comp table to them, a comp table is basically like a free table at a nightclub. It's just something that they will decline, or it's not a big deal to them, so they're not interested because they get invited so often to these things by promoters or other people. So I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I do think it's just not as big a thing as for some tourists. And while you still can get like a table at a nightclub by kind of organizing something like this, it's just not as it's not as big a thing as it is in other cities because it's so often offered. And promoters offer it to make money. Local guys might try and organize a table just to have that free table experience for themselves, and they would have to bring a bunch of girls to do that. So that's the first one. The second one has to do with the heat here. Now, I've seen vlogs and videos of people who lived in Arizona and stuff like that before I moved here. And in my head, I was like, coming from the East Coast, I was like, it can't be that bad. Why are they complaining about how just getting from the car to the grocery store is that draining in the summers? And now I get it. Dude, it's up to 115 degrees here on a typical daily basis in the summers. So just running some errands like grocery shopping, it can be quite a drain because especially if you're parked away from the grocery store, which oftentimes is the case because the parking lots are packed. Everyone wants to stand closely to the store or be close to the store. Just the walk to and from the grocery store, or from one place to another, it really sucks the life out of you, and it just adds an added tax onto your energy. So just going to do errands, like going to the gym, going to the grocery store, and then maybe hitting up Tropical Smoothie Cafe to get a smoothie afterwards. That's 3 locations, and the time in between walking to it can really drain your energy. And at least in my car, I have an old car, so the ramp up time for the AC to really start cranking and dispel all that heat, that can take several minutes. Several as in like 7-8 minutes. That is really draining as well. So I had this errand thing, a bunch of errands I had to do the other day, and it was like, donate this stuff to the Goodwill, then like get some food at this restaurant, and then go to this grocery store, and then hit the gym. It was super draining just to do that. Whereas, on a typical day, maybe in another state where it's cooler, or in the winter in Las Vegas, I would have knocked that out no problem with it, and still felt fine. It really takes a toll on you. So there's an added heat tax in the summers that unfortunately you have to bear with while you're here. Now, how do people get across that? Well, some people are rich enough to live or they just stay on the strip where it's just always AC because they're on vacation, or they are rich enough to live in Waldorf Astoria or something, and then they hire someone else to do all their groceries and whatnot. So, it's just different people do different things. Some people wait until it gets cooler once the sun sets. I'll tell you, it doesn't get that much cooler, but it does get a bit cooler, especially once you wait until 8 or 9 or 10 p.m. I think that definitely helps. So if you're willing to wait until then to get your groceries done, which sometimes I'm just not willing to do because I have stuff to do. I have to hit the gym, I got to do this after work. That's another way. Okay, number 3. The third big surprise is the local discounts. Well, I guess the surprise here is that I thought there would be more than they are, but I'm also not discounting them as nothing. So, I did hear some hype about the local discounts. Once you're a Nevada local, you get treated like royalty or whatnot. But in my opinion, from what I've seen, you don't get that much extra discounts as I would have thought. So what do you get? So if you go on to the strip a lot, there's various hotels that will offer free or reduced parking, at least for the first 1 or 2 or 3 hours. So, most of the hotels near a nightclub like Cosmo or Resorts World, they will give you some discount. Encore is another one, which is near XS. But, it'll save you $10-20 a night, which is something. It's not nothing. So there's that. But what else can you save some money at? Well, locals do get a free access to a select few, and by few I mean I think it's only 2 or 3 pools in the summers, but only on the weekdays, which is why I've never gone to one. But if you want to save $20 on a pool pass, you can do it on the weekday. It'll probably be a crowded pool from what I'm guessing, but it's still a free pool experience if you want to get that. What else have I seen locals get discounts on? Frankly, that's about it. I would say there's probably some other stuff here and there, but I haven't really heard much hype about it. I will say I've bought tickets to shows like Blue Man Group or Shin Lim, which is a magic show experience. I did not see any local discount type of deal when I was on the websites of these places. So that was rather disappointing. Maybe I just missed the check mark or checkbox, or there's an option but I didn't see it. Frankly, I just didn't see it at all. So unfortunately, there's nothing really like that for locals, and that kind of sucks. What else? Well, Area 15, which is a big I guess you could call it a amusement park. It's not really amusement park, but it's a playground where there's a bunch of activities for adults and kids. You get a discount there, and it's pretty decent. I would say it's I can't remember off the top of my head, 15 to 20%. So that's a pretty good deal. But point being, I just didn't get the feel that it was as much as it was hyped up to be. A couple people mentioned how you're treated like royalty. You get discounts on everything, restaurants and parking and any type of show. But I'm just not seeing that. If you're a local here and you know better, or if you have any tips or tricks to get more discounts on shows or tickets that are actually local specific, let us know. Please leave a comment. Because for me, I know there is that thing where you can buy a package where you get these random shows on discount just because no one else is going to those shows. But that's not really a local discount. That's more of just a package deal type of thing. So that's not what I mean. I mean an actual discount where they're you're a local, you get 15% off. So let me know what you think. That's it's a bit sad, but that's what I found to be the case. Okay, what else? So that's three. I'll give you a fourth one, and this is the final one. The last surprise I found while just living here is a good thing, which is I just found that there's so many cool things to do, unique things to do that, frankly, I couldn't get anywhere else. So this is one where essentially you basically have all these things here that I couldn't get in like a standard, town or city when I lived in Maryland or North Carolina or Virginia or Delaware, which are kind of much more slow-paced areas, pretty boring, in fact. For example, they have tons of Korean barbecues within like a 10-minute drive. They also have all sorts of stuff. Shooting ranges, you can go to arcades here, you can go to claw machine arcades, which is just filled with claw machines. You can go to adult playgrounds here. You can go to Area 15 for like, the Omega Mart Mini Mart experience, which is like almost like a grocery store, museum, art display type of thing, Meow Wolf type of deal. You can go to some really unique restaurants like the Heart Attack Grill, where you literally get spanked if you don't finish the burgers you ordered. You can do all sorts of really interesting things here. See a magic show, see live concerts at the Sphere, beautiful pool resorts that you can't really find anywhere else. You can explore the nightlife scene. You can explore so many different things, and frankly, you wouldn't have any of that in those other places I mentioned. And if you did, you probably would have to drive like really far to get there. I remember driving like 45 plus minutes to go to Annandale, Virginia, because that's really where there's like a strong concentration of Korean barbecue restaurants. Here you can get anywhere, all those places I mentioned, within 20 minutes or less. Plus there's a really established gym scene here, so there's tons of pro bodybuilders. It's just like a mecca for a lot of things. UFC comes out of here, F1 racing's here. So it's actually a really interesting place with a lot of activity going on constantly. The Super Bowl recently happened here. And one of the NBA Olympics basketball exhibition games happened here. So there's just so much going on here that you can't get in other places. Plus the traffic is pretty nice. You can get anywhere within 20 minutes when it's not like a big Super Bowl game day type of situation. So I found that to be really good. And then I'll leave it with the fifth one, which is something I think I probably already mentioned in a previous video, but I'll mention it again just in case I didn't. But number 5 is, I'm also surprised that there's a lot of locals who just don't or never or rarely go to the nightlife here. For some reason, I assume that when you live in Las Vegas and you're a young local, you just love to go to the nightlife scene because young people love to party, and this is like one of the biggest nightlife scenes in the world, not just the country. But I've talked to a decent amount of young people, young women, young men, everyone, and a lot of them just don't like nightclubs, or they don't go to them, or they rarely go to them, or they would prefer going somewhere else. And while it may seem obvious to you, it's just like, wow, I didn't expect that. I just felt like, a lot of people like this stuff way more than they should, because I've been to the nightclubs or nightlife, and it's just tons of people super enthusiastic about it, and I'm like, what's the big deal? So through that, I assumed everyone loves it, but you will run into people who just never go to that, never want to, and so forth, even though they live in Las Vegas. So it really is kind of like a different strokes for different folks scenario. And it's just really interesting to see that. That's the last surprise. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this entertaining and informative. Subscribe.